Well, welcome back, everybody, to Granbury TV for another interview segment. Today, March the 30th, 2012, and I am interviewing Mr. Mitch Galvan, Chief of Police here in Granbury, Texas. Mitch, glad to have you here.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'll tell you what, it took you a while to come on a few steps over because I know you've been extremely busy.
It's been busy. Finding time just to break away is tough, and usually when I try and mark a time, something comes up and I'm gone again. So
it's just this time of the year. Spring has sprung, and everybody's out doing stuff, and it's just been so busy, not only in the city but in the county and just everywhere. There's just a lot of stuff to be that's going on, and I guess we'll just dive right into it. I know that y'all have been very intensive on your training of late,
sir,
and y'all have been having class after class and some things going on. Share with us a little bit about what your officers and your office is doing on training.
Well, I can tell you that we take training pretty serious in the department, and it's one thing that I push very heavily to all my guys, and I want to make sure we have the most professional and highly trained department in the state, and we do a pretty good job of it. And I've got a department full of licensed instructors who are capable of teaching a variety of different things, and we got certified through TCLOS a year or two ago to be a contract training facility, which helps us. We're allowed to bring in training if we want to do that. But here lately, our tactical guys have been training so hard, and the reason they're training so hard is I think since the sheriff and I, got together and formed this multi-jurisdictional tactical unit. I think they've already been called out half a dozen times on different stuff, and so the training is of the utmost importance for them, because if they don't keep that up, they're not sharp when they go to do something. They served a high-risk drug warrant the other day, and you just never know when those things kind of happen. So training is utmost, but it's what I tell my training and my training officer who's in charge of all that, Sergeant Burketto, and my lieutenant, is that. Yes, the SWAT team tactical unit needs all that training, but my patrol guys are going to get the same training they're getting. So, and I've had that philosophy for probably, 18 years since I took over the firearms program here and was a range master. I made sure that everybody had tactical training, and I didn't want it to be specialized. And so we continue that today. So it's kind of like our tactical unit goes out and does a lot of stuff, and then the guys that are teaching them come back and teach all the patrol officers and investigators the same stuff.
It's really important to diversify everybody in your office, because you never know, God forbid something catastrophic was to happen and you needed that other person to step up or fill in or support. That person needs to know what the other hand is doing.
Sure. And
going through the same training, that's paramount.
Sure. Well, things have changed. From the old days. Columbine changed a lot of the way police think tactically now, and it used to be when you had an incident, it was whether it was a active shooter situation or not, it was everybody stop, contain the area, and call SWAT. Well, they've seen that is not the way to do it, and Columbine was an example of that, where they kind of held the perimeter and waited for SWAT to show up. In the meantime, the two guys in the school were still walking around the school shooting people. So they've changed that now to where, in an active shooter situation, it's the first people who get there go in, and they have to act like a tactical unit. So that's why it's so important to make sure that all the patrol guys who are going to be the first ones there are tactically trained. And they actually have created a specialized training. It's called Alert, that was developed and is taught here in the main offices here in Texas and San Marcos, that's specifically geared toward active shooter situations in schools, and they do it in schools. And it's geared toward, you've gotten a call of an active shooter, and you're the first guy, you're the first ones there, and you wait till you have 2, 3, 4, and then you're in the door and you're doing nothing but going and hunting down the shooter, and nothing else. It's simply you're going to stop the shooter. And it's an incredible training. I've had it hosted here quite a while back at the high school, and it went extremely well. But that's the importance of it, is that if we had a situation like that and our guys were just standing out waiting for the SWAT, because typically response time for a SWAT team is anywhere from 30, 45, maybe even an hour before they get on scene and are dressed up and ready to go. And you just can't afford to wait that long. SWAT now is basically used for any type of hostage, barricade situation, or serving high-risk warrant type stuff. But if shots are being fired, it's the guys on the street who are going to respond to it. So that's why we put so much importance on everybody being trained tactically in our department, and not just the SWAT guys.
It's so important, training. I think it's, kind of paramount, especially in this type of field. But it goes beyond just the tactical side and that sort of thing. I have noticed that we have some of the most courteous and responsive people. That your officers seem to listen very, very well to what people are telling them. And I know that there's a form of training that goes involved in that too as well.
Well, I can tell you it's not so much training as it is personality.
The right individual.
And that's why, we're very serious about our hiring. We will go through 3 or 4 hiring testing procedures just to get one person. We're going to hire the right people here, and it's the atmosphere of this city. It's the just the way the city is. It's a very nice, comfortable place. It's people here have those country values, that kind of stuff, and you can't have the hard head guy that's out there to kick in doors and knock heads out on the street dealing with your citizens, or you're going to have complaint after complaint. It's just not going to work. So, it's a very diligent procedure on our part on hiring people. And I can tell you this, and I told our CPA class this the first night last week. When we have a testing for new officers, just about every officer in my department shows up for it. And they watch and they observe everybody who's in the room testing. When they finish the written and they go out and do their physical testing, they all go and watch them they watch them interact. They'll walk around and start visiting, start listening, trying to get an idea of, is there anybody in this group that I want to be a part of our family? They're as picky as I am about who I'm going to hire to work here. And it's amazing how that philosophy, when you do it right, it spreads throughout the whole department.
Absolutely.
And nobody in this department, from myself to the 2 guys that just got off training, will budge either way. I mean, they want it this way and this way only, and they're not going to let anybody come in that's not of that caliber.
It's a great bunch of guys. I've gotten to know a lot of them and interacted with a lot of them, working so close and that sort of thing. I get along with all of them except for your third baseman on your softball team. Me and that guy, we just.
Now, who's that?
I don't know. Big guy. Last year he was a new. I think he was a new hire that came in and everything. But I'll break him in. I have no doubts about it. We did have 2 new hires though. Just recently, you talked about them finishing up training. You want to talk a little bit about these guys and how they'll. The community's just growing. It's just vastly growing, and it's paramount to stay on top of that. And we've got 2 new.
Well, these were two officers that filled a retirement spot and one that left. So they weren't new positions. They were replacing 2 that we lost last year. And Zach Anderson is one, and Colin Walker is the second. Boy, I tell you, we couldn't have picked 2 better. Excellent. They went to the academy, went through flying colors, did an outstanding job there. Just now completing their. Well, I think Zach's already completed his ghost phase, and he started his first day on the street by himself was yesterday, and I believe Colin finished up yesterday or today on his ghost phase, and then he'll hit the street by himself. But 2 very sharp guys, and they know the importance of training now. We told them right off the bat when they go to the academy, you're going to think that's tough. Just wait till you come back and you learn how to really do it our way. And it was more stress here than it ever was at the academy, and it's because we have standards and we're not going to fall below the standards, and they're going to have to meet those standards, and it's a lot of pressure. But those guys got right through it, did a heck of a job, and they are happy to be out.
Oh, I'm telling
without having somebody looking over their shoulder, watching every little move that they do. And the funny thing is that I told them when we had their end of training meeting, I said, y'all have had the last 17 weeks, y'all have had somebody riding with you, somebody to talk to, somebody to ask questions, laugh, while you're in the car driving on nights and spending all that time. And I said, you're fixing to lose that buddy. And I said, and don't feel too bad if after the first couple of nights you find yourself talking to yourself like somebody's in the seat next to you. So it's pretty funny. But I can remember when I got off of the field training and completed it, that it was such a relief to be in the car by yourself, doing your thing, without having to worry about your trainer next to you messing up. You've proven that you can do it. Now you're actually getting to go out and do it, and it's a heck of a load off your shoulders. But you never stop learning, and that's another thing having to do with training, and we put that across them too, is that you're never going to stop learning. Don't ever think that you know it all. When you do, you're going to find out you don't. Just get ready.
And on top of that, I'll say this, being a former service guy, I know that I have people that'll come up and they'll shake my hand and they'll say, thank you for your service, appreciate your service. You need to do that as well with these officials these officers that we have.
Oh, sure, those guys.
They work extremely hard. And, these summer events that are coming up, similar to what we just went through with General Granbury's birthday, that takes a lot of time and preparation. And I know organization on y'all's part. I know we had an issue with a street that somebody wanted to close down, and I know that you were Johnny on the spot at the council meeting and told them, hey, we can't do that. And that's what. Tell us how intensive it is to have these events and how responsive y'all are.
Well, they're tough because our resources just completely get used up during an event, especially if it's a weekend event and involves a big parade. Our resources get pretty thin. Usually on the smaller ones, General Granbury's birthday, the Harvest Moon Festival, that stuff, it's not as large as the 4th of July, so our resources kind of recover pretty quick. 4th of July is just blistering us to death. Every year it gets bigger. Every year more people come in. Every year the traffic gets worse. It's gotten to where the last probably 8 years plus, maybe, I'm not sure exactly how long we've been doing it. We actually had to go to TxDOT and ask them to give us the control keys to all the control boxes for all the lights down 377 and on 144 so that we could get traffic out after the fireworks show because 377 became a parking lot, 144 became a parking lot, Pearl Street became a parking lot because nobody could move because of the traffic lights. And since that time, my officers work from bright and early the day of the parade, and they don't leave until 10, 11 at night when the traffic's finally cleared up from the parade. It's a brutal day for them and for everybody because it's one of those days where everybody in my department works.
You mentioned it, traffic. Traffic issues here in Granbury and Hood County, as we've been a bustling community adding to and everything. And the commissioners have been very responsive in adding roads and byways and that sort of thing, but it's still not alleviating a lot of the traffic issues that we still have enough to where people still need to be aware, and they certainly need to get off those phones.
Oh, golly. Speaking of phone, that's my big deal now is the phones. I can tell you this. Yesterday, I was at a stoplight, a red light on 377, going to turn left, and traffic was still going west on 377, and I decided I was going to count how many people on that inside lane were on the phone as they went by me. 10 straight vehicles. 10 straight cars went through the intersection, and they were doing this. 10 straight, and I thought, oh, geez, if I keep watching, there's going to be a wreck, so I might as well keep my eyes forward. But the phone stuff is it's a disaster.
Now, how close are we to a community? I know in Stephenville, there are certain areas where if they catch you on your phone, like you just said, if they catch you on your phone texting or calling on your phone while you were in that driver's seat, they'll pull you over and give you a citation. How close is Granbury coming to having areas where we do that same thing?
We already do that. And that's what Stephenville's doing. It's in school zones. Any school zone.
See, I did not know that. That's why we need to have these interviews so that we can get it out to the public. Stay off your phone if you're behind that wheel.
In fact, when you approach a school zone, where the sign is that says you're coming to a school zone, it's going to have a big sign underneath it that says prohibited use of cell phones and handheld devices, or it's subject to a citation and fines.
How hard is it to enforce those, though?
Oh, it's not hard.
Not hard. You just see them and you go get them.
When you see them on it, or you see them doing this while they're driving, it's a done deal.
How close are we to seeing state byways and highways like a 377 getting like areas such as our our industrial area that we have right down through the middle of 377 here in town. How soon do we see certain areas of those byways falling under that same restriction?
No, it won't. I mean, they tried this year in the state legislature to pass some law to make it illegal to drive and text. It didn't pass. Yeah, now, I'm not saying it's not going to. I'm going to bet you here in a year or so it'll probably squeak through. But it's going to take something like that. And even if they pass it, I mean, it's going to be such a massive change for everybody on the road because they're so used to doing it now that it's scary. It is scary how comfortable people have gotten driving and texting and think that they're doing good. But if you're driving behind them, you know, they're all over the road, you know, they're drifting it over and then stopping real hard, but they think they're doing great.
You know, you were telling me off camera about a situation that you saw on video, and it would be neat if we could even show that to people to make them aware how serious it can be. Should you be driving a vehicle and texting or being distracted, you need to be focused on that road.
And I might send you that video, or I might see if there's a way Tony can put it on the city's website. But it's a video taken from a police video camera in the car, and he's driving down a highway, and it's a pretty wide highway. I think there's 2 or 3 lanes of traffic on one side, and the same going the other way. It might be 2, but it doesn't have any type of barrier divider.
Similar to 377.
Similar to 377. Well, 377 out past, by the time you get to the old 4, where it's just a roadway all the way across with a turn lane in the middle. And it's up north somewhere because there's snow everywhere. And the middle, the kind of the left shoulder, the shoulder of the left lane is kind of got snow in it where they push it to the side. And the police car is driving down the highway, and everybody's going just fine, and there's a SUV right in front of it. And SUV is just, he's right in his lane, going just fine, and then all of a sudden, you start seeing it drift to the left. You know, and the minute you start seeing it drift to the left, you're thinking, okay, they're on the phone. That's the first thing that came to my mouth, is they're on the phone, because how do you go from perfect right down the road to all of a sudden you're drifting to the left? You know, he had to have been on the phone or doing something that he wasn't paying attention to.
Or sometimes I take a nap.
Yeah. And he hits this little part of snow. It turns the car sideways. He goes back across, hits a box truck on this side, bounces off of it, and it shoots him clear across the highway to the other lanes of traffic. And a semi hits him square side, and that SUV, and it's a big SUV, I want to say it was either a Tahoe or a Suburban, but it exploded. I mean, exploded to where you can actually hear the pieces hitting the patrol car as it's going by. I mean, it just exploded his car. And it was all because, for one brief second, the driver of that car lost his attention on what he was doing, and it cost him his life. You know, it was just incredible to actually see that video.
You know, it's important. I mean, this is why we spend so much time talking about subjects like this, is stay off that phone. And, you know, the young people out there, especially new drivers, and we know that anybody under the age of 20, 21, they can't leave the dadgum phone alone. I mean, they can't socialize, they can't function without a phone. And we know that and some county judges are the same way.
Exactly.
So they can't function without it. So please put it down, turn it off if you have to. When you're behind that wheel, leave the phone alone.
Oh, you just can't. When it comes to texting, you gotta just not even do it. Emails, forget it. If you can't put the phone down, get an earpiece, get some type of hands-free Bluetooth device, and talk on the phone that way. But don't do anything where you have to do anything with your hands to operate that phone.
Your eyes.
And your eyes. You just can't afford, just like that guy did in that video, to lose that concentration for just that one brief period, and it ended up tragically. And you just can't take that chance. And, you know, it ended up tragically for him, but it could have also ended up tragically for other people on that road. I mean, he could have caused a chain reaction wreck instead of it just being him and a semi, because it didn't. Trust me, it didn't hurt the semi. That semi was fine, but that SUV was in little bitty pieces by the time it was over. So, you know, I just don't see how people can take that risk. But you watch kids, you know, this younger generation, they can on that phone and be pushing buttons, talking to you, and having a conversation with somebody else. And it's amazing how they're memorizing. She's done over here, memorizing the how those keys,
keyboard, yeah.
And they think they can do that while they're operating a car, and you just can't take that chance.
Can't do it. Can't do it. Well, one last thing before I let you go. And I know it's been a good long interview here, but that's what we get for not having one regularly. Community involvement. I got to get my digs in when I can. Bitch, got to get my digs in. Community involvement. I'll tell you what. I've lived other places. I grew up here, and of course, but I moved away, and then I came back, and I lived in some other communities. And out of all the communities I've been in, Granbury is very unique in its community involvement. And I know that y'all spend a lot of time training up people and getting the community involved in what's going on in their areas. And I want you to touch on that a little bit before we.
Well, we really talk to residential areas, various residential areas, about forming a neighborhood group. We've actually got through the sheriff's department, there's an email group that they can send emails to the group itself, on any type of suspicious activity, whatever. The biggest thing that I've seen is that people actually wanting to get involved in stuff. And the great example of that is our Citizens Police Academy that just started, had their second class last night. We've got 20 individuals that are going through it this session, and that thing has grown every year. And the alumni, what's even better is that the ones that go through it and graduate, they come back and join the Alumni Association, and they actually get involved, and that's where they get training on how to control traffic, direct traffic, how to patrol areas. They can get training. We put them through a cops academy where they can, if they wish, they can volunteer to be a part of our cops program. And we have a cops car that they actually drive around and check neighborhoods, do weekend watching. If somebody leaves home and wants us to check their house, they do all the security checks. They circle around in parking lots and make sure that nobody's parking in handicap parking places. I mean, they go out and they really do a great job, and they help us out tremendously because my guys are hopping from call to call, and sometimes, during the day, afternoon, they might not see a residential area, but this group is in that residential area checking, and they know how to contact us on the radio. They know what to do if they do see something. And it's been a tremendous help to us, and they just keep coming in droves. I mean, these are highly charged individuals. And then we also have the CERT program, which is the Citizen Emergency Response Team that respond to any type of natural disaster. They've got a trailer. It's just incredible that once we started these programs, the people just came in floods wanting to be a part of it. And we still, to this day, invite anybody to be a part of any of our programs that we have out. And
so if an individual's watching this and they say, hey, you know what, that sounds like something I want to get involved with and everything, go ahead and give them a number and they can contact you guys and y'all can steer them to the right direction.
817-573-2648 is the police department main number. When you call it, ask for Sergeant Bricchetto and ask him, just tell him you want to get involved, and he will point you in and get you started in the right direction, because we don't turn anybody down, volunteers. So
very good, very good.
It's just amazing how a lot of people in this community have just jumped at the chance to help, and they do this. In fact, you can't go to a function that we have here in the city, whether it's General Granbury's birthday, the 4th of July. You'll really see them out on the 4th of July. Lining the streets at the parade, at every intersection, you'll see somebody wearing a bright yellow shirt. And everybody in those bright yellow shirts are members of the CPA Alumni Association, and they're there helping us control these intersections during the parade so that no cars are jumping in the middle of the parade, et cetera, et cetera. And we couldn't do the parade without them. I mean, it's gotten that big to where we couldn't do it.
It's a big help, and I know why people get involved that way is they want to keep Granbury the jewel that it is.
That's right.
And they also appreciate all the work that you and your staff do. And I'll tell you what, that's going to about wrap it up. I appreciate you coming in.
You betcha. We need to do this more often.
We'll be doing this more often. You've enjoyed another interview session right here on Granbury TV.